Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is November 18th, and right now we're looking at the lake effect snowfall machine in effect over the Great Lakes right now. You can see there is some lightning strikes even associated with this band of snowfall impacting Buffalo and just south. So very heavy snowfall rates associated with this. I just want to show you the Great Lakes and the lake effect snows. I get a lot of question about this sometimes even from people here in the Pacific Northwest. Just that I'd go over this really quickly here. You can see that heavy snow going on now. You can see the cold air aloft moving across the relatively warm lakes, picks up that moisture and deposits in narrow bands here on the east shores of the Great Lakes. Put this into motion here, and you can see the cold air moving across the lakes, and you can see the frontal system eventually come and cut that off and spread the snowfall out a little bit more across the rest of the area, but it generally puts an end to some of the snowfall bands, especially the very heavy ones that are developing right now. Now, taking a look here, this is the surface temperatures, the water temperatures here for the Great Lakes. You can see they're well into the 40s. Once these drop below freezing, then you cut off the lake effect snowfall machine, but you can see it's got a long way to go. It takes a long time to cool down. Big bodies of water like this that are still up into the 40s. You can see Lake Superior is getting down into the 30s for some areas here. Now, taking a look here, this is the herd. Let's check out these snowfall bands coming across the area here. You can see they kind of hang out for a while and concentrate on certain areas, moving around a bit, and then you can see the front come down and kind of cut that off and spread the snowfall out to some of the other areas as you go on into Sunday morning. Here's the NAM 3KM. Look at some of these snowfall totals up towards 2 feet as we go through this afternoon and tonight across a lot of some of the areas here. And you can see, if you just imagine being just south of these areas, you don't have any snowfall, and you drive a few miles north and you get into 1, 2, 3 feet of snow across the area. Back to the Pacific Northwest now, you can see our big ridge of high pressure keeping us shielded from the storms out here. We're going to take a look at the extended forecast here coming up and see what the timing of these next systems rolling into our area. Models have been flip-flopping on the strength of these storms, the timing of the precip, the amount of the precip. We are in a state of flux right now. We're trying to pinpoint the details down. Now, as we look here, I'm just going to put this into motion here and play this out. You can see we're dealing with not too bad low clouds. We're probably today and tomorrow we're going to be dealing with a lot of sunshine across the area. Sunday we're going to move some high clouds into the region, and then possibly some precipitation Monday night on into Tuesday. So that's what we're doing right now. But nice, glorious days coming up here. Should be a lot of sunshine for much of the area coming up here on Friday and Saturday. Now, taking a look at SeaTac, 10 straight days, no precipitation. Today's going to be 11. We're going to go a few more days probably. So we're probably going to be right around 2 weeks with no precipitation through mid-November here. Very impressive. Chilly overnight lows, but we're right around average, and it feels nice in the sunshine out there. So get out there and enjoy that while you can. Freezing fog advisory for some areas across Pendleton, Oregon here, eastern Oregon. Have travel plans. Just slow down a little bit if you get into that freezing fog. And this is kind of a wind chill 101 here. You can see no wind. Your body temperature does good. You have a little bit of a layer of heat across your body. Once that wind starts blowing, it removes that heat. And you can go hypothermic pretty quick, especially east of the Cascades where it's pretty chilly, especially off into Montana. So if you're traveling from western Washington, Oregon, BC into the eastern portions here, watch out for those very cold temperatures. Cold wind chills across Montana shown here, well down into the teens. Some areas -20 here on the wind chill factor. Taking a look at what happened yesterday, we had some pretty good winds through Enumclaw. Brought down quite a bit of trees, pretty good winds coming through the gorge there at Washington. Even had some power outages through the Puget Sound. Even here in Burien, the power was out for some areas, gusting towards 40 miles per hour at SeaTac from an unusual direction. Puts a lot of stress on the trees that are used to the south and southwest winds across here. So when you go north or east with the winds, it really can damage trees at much lower wind speeds. So taking a look here, you can see the high pressure inland here, and you can see the pressure gradient. The high pressure is here, and it wants to flow out through the mountain gaps here. You know, you've got a big dome of cold air, and it wants to flow through the gorge here, and brought some pretty strong winds with it. And I put that into motion. You can kind of see this pressure gradient doesn't relax really much until we get really towards early next week. Now, taking a look here, you can see the actual winds in motion here. Look at some of these winds yesterday morning through the gorge, through Stampede Gap, Fraser River Valley here. Pretty intense winds for some areas. You can see this continue on into today. Going to be still blowing, but not quite as strong as yesterday, of course. that main pressure gradient has relaxed, but you can see the winds are going to be still going as we go through Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, still going offshore. We start to relax a bit as we go into Saturday afternoon, and then hopefully some systems will start to arrive here in the Pacific Northwest. This is apparent air temperature. This is taking into account wind chill. You can see as you go east of the Cascades, temperatures are pretty chilly. Then Montana, portions of eastern Idaho, Wyoming are very chilly. Alberta out here. So heads up if you're traveling eastbound. You can see that dry air moved into the Willamette Valley here through the gorge. And yeah, watch out for those wind chills heading east. Now taking a look at this. This is European versus the GFS on the right. Total precipitation amounts yesterday afternoon's run. Let's just speed ahead and look when this first precip starts to reach western BC and Washington, probably sometime Monday morning. Relatively light amounts as you can see, but then heavier precip starts arriving for Vancouver Island, Washington coast. And by this time we're looking at Tuesday late morning, afternoon at this point. But you can see on the GFS, for example, we're going out 144 hours and still not much precip for Oregon here. But it does show more for Washington and BC, and the European kind of keeping that storm track away from us a little bit more. These models have been in flux here, and I don't have much confidence in these model runs right now, but we're going to go through them anyway. And you can see 10-day period, not a lot of precip for Oregon here coming up, but bigger amounts here for Washington and BC. Got somewhat of an agreement there on the European, but it shows more precip all the way down through Northern California here. Now looking at Seattle-Tacoma, this is wind gusts here. You can see there's only a smattering of larger windstorms in here and kind of some blustery conditions as we go through Tuesday here with that frontal system, but it's not that strong yet. But this can change at this time. I don't have a lot of confidence in this. The model's been flopping around a lot here. Looking at Seattle-Tacoma, this is last night's run. So we're looking at Tuesday's system here. You can see up over ½ an inch is expected here on the European. The control run and the mean is just over $1/4 inch. So not an overly strong frontal system looking right now. But again, we have to monitor it. This can change rapidly this time of year. Here's yesterday afternoon's run. You can see the first frontal system here, and then more systems potentially coming in the wake of that as we go on in through the following weekend and following week. We'll continue to monitor this. Again, we're in big flux here with these models. You can see the GFS not showing too dynamic of a front here coming through Tuesday, but it does show the frontal system there. Then you can see kind of a mixed bag here as we go through the extended. Now looking here, the European is on the left, the GFS is on the right. This is North America, Alaska, BC, Washington, Oregon. Good agreement, of course, in the short term with the ridge. GFS computer being a little slow there. So the ridge starts to break down a bit here. Gulf of Alaska troughing starts to get going. We bring that frontal system through probably Tuesday morning across through the area. Then this ridge keeps kind of showing it wants to build here while a deep low forms out over the Pacific here. And you can see the model disagreement here in position with the position of this low pressure GFS further offshore versus the European bringing something more a bit stronger here towards the west coast as the GFS tries to build a ridge over the area here. We've got big differences in the models going on through here. So today is kind of transitionary day as far as we're looking at model runs here. We have very poor agreement as we're looking out in towards next week. So we'll look at that again tomorrow closely. You can see they continue with this heavy risk of precipitation at this point, but right now this is purely fantasy at this stage. And with the risk of heavy snow, that's just kind of typical for this time of year. So really not putting much stock into that either. 6 to 10 day, this is probably a good bet. We're going to warm up a bit as we go through the Thanksgiving timeframe towards the end of November, and still having that signal for some above average precipitation. 8 to 14 day, no different there. And GFS kind of been showing we're going to return towards the end of November into that Pacific North American oscillation negative territory here, but we're still in flux here. We don't have much confidence in what's coming right now. So I think things are going to start to become much clearer by tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon. So we'll go over this again tomorrow as usual. We'll do this again every single day. So yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying these videos. I don't want to sound too, I'd like to sound a little more confident, but I don't want to lie to everybody too and just say that certain storms are coming at this point. Right now, the models are fluctuating quite rapidly back and forth. Just yesterday, some of the models were showing stronger systems moving through. Now it's backing off on that, but I figure it could change again here coming up. So we're just going to go ahead and watch that as we go. We'll do this again tomorrow. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you're seeing. Did you guys get any tree damage yesterday? For those of you out in some of the gap wind areas up in the Cascades, down towards Oregon, up towards BC, what were you guys seeing? And yeah, I'll probably update a little bit today on Twitter, and I'll go ahead and do this again tomorrow. We'll talk and walk our way through it. And yeah, so I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hope you're having a good day.